What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall markets. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total, not to mention an 8.1% APY on uninvested cash. The offer is very soon in just about 11 days. Anyways, now let's talk about the market. So we got this big dump on SPY, at least to start things off. We did call out how there might be a little bit more downside coming, but I also mentioned to you all to watch your levels to see if we end up losing them or holding them. So we dipped below 585 to go all the way down to 583, forming a very, very nice wick. And then from there, we started to see Nvidia squeezing to the upside as we saw a lot of buyers step in because of earnings. Earnings is going to be tomorrow for Nvidia, so there's a lot of hype right now. And I think that's what's leading the market up right now. And then they use that as an excuse to just buy up the entire market from the lows that we had. So SPY managed to reclaim 585 because we did not hold below that for 4 hours. Now we're back up towards 588. So we have this resistance at the 50 EMA at 588.96. If we manage to reclaim this and hold above this, there is going to be potential for us to push even more, and I'll show you exactly where the target is. So it's a very, very tricky market today. We were actually very choppy in the beginning, only to get bought back up. So with this manipulation that panned out, it is what it is. We just have to accept the chart for what it is, by the way. Just know this: there's not really any data coming out for today. It's all very, very minor. So I just want to clarify that. Tomorrow we have Nvidia's earnings, and if we do push more, if we break past the 589 or even close above that, there is potential for this over the next couple of days to push up for the 593 gap fill. SPY could be pushing another 4 or 5 points all the way up to these highs, not that far from all-time highs. So there could be an attempt to rebound. If we were to lose support at 585, or if we close below that, that's going to be a sign of weakness to start filling this gap below. We attempted to do that today only to get bought back up. So far, the buyers are now the ones who have the edge because the bears were not able to get us to hold below those levels. With that being said, what do I see for the market? Here are going to be some key levels. So when you look at the 4 hour time frame on SPY, we have 589 as our resistance. Once again, if we break that, the 50 EMA, watch 590.24. That's going to be our next resistance above that. And if that breaks, I think we go all the way up closer to like 593 to fill that gap. So I'll be watching this very carefully on SPY. If we lose 587, we're looking for a dip back down towards 584. And as of right now, we do favor upside a little bit more. It looks like it wants to get bought back up, and we're looking for a nice crossover on our PPO, which is once again favoring the upside. As far as ES goes, we're on a very, very nice trend right here. This is going to be testing 59.30 as resistance and then 59.42. If these both break, I think there could be an attempt to fill this gap all the way up to like the higher 59.75 area. So that's going to be leading to a lot more potential. What else is looking more bullish is Nvidia. So as long as we don't lose 140, I think this is favoring upside. Let's look at 143.25 as our main support. As long as we're above that, we're favoring the upwards direction. So hold 143, and I think we continue to push all the way up to this imbalance towards 146. I think that Nvidia has a lot more potential thanks to that. And then also when you zoom out of Nvidia like this and go to the daily time frame, if we hold above the 144s, I think we could attempt to fill this gap all the way up to about 146. It might happen right before earnings, and then we'll see what happens after earnings. But just keep that in mind. If we were to lose 141, we have a gap to fill all the way back down towards 140. Then 138 is going to be the next main support. This is favoring upside a bit more for 144. And if we break that, we have that gap to fill all the way up to 147. So Nvidia remains a little bit more bullish as there's buyers hyped up about earnings. And we're starting to see buyers continuing to defend it alongside the broader markets as a result of that. Bitcoin, as long as we don't lose 90,000, we're favoring a test of where this wick is, just under 90, like 93,500. So I think there's more upside potential in Bitcoin. For others out there, we have Tesla. Tesla's range bound. It's actually more bullish than bearish. So Tesla dipped a bit because their Chinese sales did decrease on a week over week basis, but now we're getting bought back up. So it's trying to push. So I'm going to be looking for 348s to be retested, but just know that Tesla it's been range bound between 350 and about 330 the last 2 days. Whoops, let me go back here. So that suggests to us that Tesla will likely remain range bound. We'll see what happens when we get to the higher 340s. I do think Tesla's going to push a little bit more, but just know that it's a little bit lackluster in terms of this trend. We haven't really gotten a nice break yet, and we have to try to break 350 to remain more bullish. I think we're going to push for 348, but then I don't know what's going to happen from there. We'll have to wait and see. But just know that there is potential in it to push a bit more. Still not getting a breakout, so we have to give it more time to develop. For others out there, we have NQ. NQ formed a bullish divergence. It dumped as you predicted, but then it got bought back up, forming a V-shaped recovery right after. So if we could hold above 20,700, we're looking for 20,771 as our next target. That's going to be our 50, our 200 EMA, excuse me. If we lose the 50 at 20,600, I will turn a little bit more bearish. As right now, we're favoring the 20,700 area than 20,770. For the QQQ, this is looking decent. We have a nice range, so we like to get bought back up around 495, and we kind of like to reject near 501. So that's like the range right now. However, if we break past 501, we're going to be looking for an attempt to push back up for 503, which is where we have these EMAs. And then we have a gap to fill taking as high as like 507 if that breaks. If we lose 500 flats, we're looking for essentially 498, not to mention 495. But I think that this is favoring upside for 503 and eventually these higher levels. So give this the time it needs. This gap could get filled taking us up to like 507 too. So I think that we're going to most likely push for 503 on the QQQ as long as we try to hold above 501. And I think there's more upside potential for now. This is no surprise approaching Nvidia's earnings. When you look at the daily time frame, I also want to call out that we have this big gap to fill on the QQQ. So this might get filled depending on how Nvidia does. If Nvidia pumps the markets, I think we easily fill this gap. If not, we'll just have to see about that, but just keep that in mind for now. It depends on Nvidia's earnings. Apple has more potential. We're going to be looking for this gap fill at 230. If that breaks, we have 232 coming. If we lose 226, we turn back down, but this is favoring upside. Netflix got a bullish target, especially because they announced that they're going to be streaming an NFL game on Christmas, and then Beyonce is going to be performing. So we also have a price target increase of about $950. So that's a little bit more bullish. And we're going to be looking for essentially 865 or higher. I think 870 will also be coming, and it remains more bullish. The IWM Russell 2000 got a bounce and dumped all the way down to 226, only to get a rebound. So I think we could be pushing for 231. Let me just double check. I think 231 is going to be our target as long as we're above 230. So yeah, that's correct. 231 is most likely coming. This is where our key EMAs happen to be. So I think this pushes closer to 231 before we see anything else. For coin, we're just kind of flat right now. It could dip a little bit, get back down towards 315 before it tries to bounce. It already pumps so much, so it's no surprise for it to slow down. Amazon is more bullish. We got to try to hold above 203.75. As long as it's above that, I'm looking for the 205.3 area. We have our main support at 202, but so far I see potential in Amazon. A little bit more upside potential is there. Meta is very lackluster, very flat, but it's trying to base at 550, which is a good sign. As long as we don't lose that, we could see a rebound attempt for 560 later on. So just keep that in mind. For Supermicro, we're a little bit more bearish. We'll have to see if we get a bounce off this like 412 to 413 area. I think we could be dipping to 412.5, excuse me, before it tries to bounce again, back up to 416. So watch and see how it reacts to that. And last but not least, we have Google. Google's more bullish on the 4 hour as long as we don't lose 177. We're favoring upside, especially with this imbalances. So there's potential for just under 180 as long as we're above 178. Just keep that in mind, guys. The VIX was trying to break up, but it ended up getting a rejection, ended up failing. So watch 15.62 on the VIX. If we don't hold above that, there is a risk of us coming down to fill this gap. Could Nvidia's earnings be the catalyst? We don't know for sure. We'll have to wait and see. We have to wait and see what Nvidia does. So just keep that in mind. Anyways, that's it for my video. Nvidia is looking more bullish, leading the market up, and then we'll see what happens as we get closer to its earnings. I thank you all so much for listening, so please have a great day, and I'll see you guys very soon in my next one in just a couple of hours. Thank you for listening, and peace out.